Welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here and coming to practice yoga. So, just a reminder, and actually, this class will be a little bit easier, I think. But a reminder that yoga is a movement practice, but we're not trying to push ourselves to the edge. We're not trying to um, go all out. We're actually trying to maybe move slowly into poses and postures, or at least mindfully into these movements. And the mindfulness part of asking yourself, what does this feel like? Is this a stretch? Is this a release? Do I feel my muscles working and engaging? Does this shoulder position work for me? Do I need to change it? So you're uh, given permission, I would say, to change the practice to make it work better for you. And listen for some options that I give too that you might not know to do that might make it better for what's going on with your body, your energy level, or what's going on with your joints, or even the space that you're in sometimes can be confining and you need to change it up. So I did a similar practice to this a couple of weeks back in my Sunday class that I teach. And I think of it as like a feel-good practice. So I'm not going to be specifically working on core or glute strength, but we're going to be doing some things that are a lot more less static stretching and more of moving in and out of poses and postures that start to open up our joints, mobilize the tissue, the fascia, the muscles that connect our joints together. So we are going to be using a blanket or a towel and either two yoga blocks. If you don't have two yoga blocks, grabbing two blankets, two towels, two pillows that are about the same size. We are going to use this blanket at the very beginning here to make a little roll to put under the back of the neck. So I'm going to roll that blanket up. I'm not rolling this whole thing up because I only want like a 2.5 inch diameter roll to go under the back of my neck. So I'm lying face up. That roll is under the back of my neck. So the back of my head is above the roll. And so for me, for today anyway, I didn't make that roll big enough. So I'm just going to make make it a tiny little bit bigger here by rolling it up a little bit more. And that's one of the beautiful things about using a blanket or a towel is that it's sort of infinitely adjustable. And what you want to feel in this position is that the roll is supporting the back of the neck. So the back of the neck has a mild, slight forward curvature. And so the roll is kind of taking up that space between the floor and the back of the neck, but it's not so big that it feels like it's shoving the back of the neck forward. So making adjustments here as you need to. And your legs could be straight or bent. Arms could be connecting hands on the torso or out to the sides, whatever feels comfortable. We're going to be in some stillness here to begin with. Making any little adjustments you need to get comfortable to be here for a couple of minutes, or at least in stillness for a couple of minutes. If it feels natural, you can close your eyes here, but keeping them open is fine. I'm not going to be moving as of now, so you don't need to see me. Take the first few moments here to bring your attention to your breath. Be aware of the rise and fall of the belly and the chest. Breathing both inhale and exhale through the nose. Feeling the air entering the nose. It might feel a little cool. Breathing out through the nose. The air might feel a little warmer. Start to slow your breathing down, lengthening out both inhale and exhale. This intentional breath, and this is what we're going to use throughout the practice. So you'll hear me cueing the breath to go with movements most of the time. And so we have this lengthened breath, so our movements are slow, right? They're not forceful and fast, they're measured, slow, lengthened, all with control. And take the next few breaths to set your intention for the practice. And if you've already come to practice with that intention, go ahead and set that thought in your mind. But I'm going to make this suggestion of listening to the body and adapting these movements to make them feel good to you. So we'll take the whole hour here to bring the attention to what you're feeling in your body and using this time to make it feel better or certainly not worse. So bringing this thought of making this practice feel good to you to the front of your mind, and breathe with intention. So I'm going to keep that roll under the back of my neck here as I start to move. Bend the knees, feet flat if you don't have it there already. And we're going to begin movement with a forward and backward pelvic tilt. So you're pressing the tailbone into the floor. On your inhale, the low back pulls away from the surface. And exhaling, press the low back into the floor and tip the tailbone up, not lifting the hips here. And I'm alternating these positions. Inhale, tailbone into the floor, low back arching upward. Exhale, flattening the low back, tailbone tipping up. And continue that lengthened breath, these kind of slow motion movements. For the lower back and the pelvis, it's a kind of cat-cow movement here from the back. Having that roll at the back of the neck, especially as you tilt that pelvis forward or the tailbone towards the floor, you're going to feel that pull here through the base of the skull if you still have that blanket there. So it gives you a little occipital release if you've ever had that done at a massage therapist, chiropractor, PT, where they bring the fingers under the base of the skull and pull. So it gives you that little bit of motion here. Just moving low back, pelvis, actively moving that head, neck movement. They're sort of passive, that going along for the ride. And then releasing that tilt of the pelvis here. And bring the arms out to the sides, palms up. Now we'll tilt the pelvis side to side, going with the legs. So I'm doing a sort of windshield wiper motion of the knees here, rocking them left and right. And it doesn't have to be a big movement. Maybe you start conservative and you add a little bit more volume of movement if the stretch feels good or the increased movement feels good. And then start to turn your head in the opposite direction of your legs. So knees go right, head goes left, and vice versa. And I'd like you to pause the next time the knees go to the left, heads turn to the right. Just pause here. If you can, relaxing through the hips. Maybe you're feeling some stretch through that right hip flexor, top of the quad. We'll take it to the other side, knees to the right, head turning to the left, pausing, breathing, relaxing a little bit more here through the hips, shoulders, neck, jaw. Bring the head and the knees back up here through center. Could take that roll out from under the back of the neck. You have it there still. And pull the knees in towards you, hugging the legs in, maybe holding shins or backs of thighs if that feels better to you, or to the knees, and gently rock a little side to side. That this position here kind of pulls you into that backward pelvic tilt, the low back flattened here. And then the rocking giving you a little massage to those muscles alongside the spine. You could stay with this gentle rocking or arms out. And as you rock the legs over to one side, you could stretch that top leg out to the side wall, bend the knee, exhale onto your back, and go the other way. And this is where I need a little bit more space on that one side. So you may have to um, your movements may alter if you're somewhere in a tighter spot or the couch is nearby or you don't have leg length room on either side. And we'll bring this all back in through center here. And coming back into that feet flat, knee bent position, but this time bring your feet out a little wider than your hips. And again, back to that kind of rocking motion here. With the feet a little wider, it's going to feel a little different at the hips. So one knee will go towards the side while the other one will go towards the foot of your mat. And you could stay with this, starting to open up the hips and the hip flexors here especially. A bigger movement would be as you drop your knees to the right, roll onto your right side, and then reach the left arm overhead. So you stretch through the whole left side here. The bottom arm could support the head, and then roll onto your back. Knees go left, roll to the left side, reach the right arm up overhead, stretching through the whole right side and onto the back. So I'm just adding a bigger movement to the knee rocking and a lengthening here through the side body. So if that feels good, add it. One more. Roll onto your side. And then we're pressing up into this kind of side saddle position. So I'm resting, sitting on one butt cheek, the other one's up. The legs are swayed off to the side here. So outer knee and inner knee of the other leg are resting on the floor. And I'm leaning away from the leg. So weight bearing here through this arm. And if the wrist or hand pressure doesn't feel good, or you have that tendonitis there, maybe coming down onto a forearm on the block or even the floor would work. This rotation we're doing here is a little different from how I normally do from this position if you're familiar with it. So changing it up a bit. So this free arm, we're going to pull the elbow up towards the ceiling. You're opening the chest, turning your head in that direction. And then in exhale, bring that hand down beside the other one. Just place it briefly. Again, we inhale, pull the elbow back, looking in that direction. Exhale, bringing the hand down. So you could keep it here. This is a lot of good rotation through the mid and upper back and shoulder blade movement. Again, if you'd like that lengthening through the side, as you bring the hand down, you could slide it forward, kind of lean over that bent knee, and then pull it back up. So you could exhale, place it, maybe pause, or slide it forward. Inhale, pull it back up. I'm going to do a couple more. And then just pause and coming back up here, we're going to do a pinwheel pigeon or this outer hip stretch. So if it's comfortable staying in this position, you can always substitute and come into it on your back, ankle over knee. I'm going to bring both hands on either side of that bent knee, that sort of front knee that I'm leaning towards. And maybe this is enough stretch in that buttocks, outer hip, or you could come onto your forearms here, or letting the forehead come down onto stacked hands. I like this option of putting a block under my forehead Take a few breaths. You can always do the more traditional version of the stretch, which would be to straighten the back leg and square the hips to the floor. That one's a little too intense for my hips, and maybe too intense at the beginning of the practice. You can decide what feels right to you. One more breath. Coming up onto your hands again. I'm still staying in this kind of side seat position, and I'm going to do a quad stretch for that leg that's furthest away from my lean. So I'm reaching back to find the foot or the ankle. Try not to bring the foot up towards the ceiling, but the heel towards the butt cheek, kind of center of the butt cheek here. You might need a strap if it's hard to reach back there. This may be enough stretch already for you. Coming down onto that forearm is going to give you a little bit more stretch. If even more stretch would feel good, you're going to slide that thigh back a little bit. And keep in mind that more is not always better. If those quads are tight, which is very common in rowers, you may need to accommodate some of that tightness here. I'm going to release that foot, rise up, and swivel the feet around to the other side. So getting comfortable here. For me, my legs further apart feels better. Maybe yours closer together feels better, but we're leaning away from the legs on the hand or the forearm. Here's that elbow pull. So that free elbow, we pull it up, look in that direction, exhale. Bring that hand down, place it beside the planted one. Again, pull elbow, exhale, bring it down. So you could keep it like this. This might be enough, and that keeping it more twist rather than reach could feel good. Or bring the hand down and slide it out away from you for a little side body stretch, and in briefly into that pigeon, that hip stretch. Do a few more here. Lengthen breath. So this is slow motion, and that means you get to feel every little angle of rotation we get in that elbow pull, and every little inch or centimeter of that length of the stretch. And you get to decide, does it feel good? Would more feel better? Would less feel better? All right, pausing here. We're going to bring both hands on either side of that knee. The inner knee is facing up, and lengthen the spine. Keep it long. You can walk the hands forward. Maybe that's enough stretch, or come onto your forearms, or stack your hands or fist under the forehead, or slide a block under there. That kind of two stacked fists, almost that same height as a block. You could do that more traditional pigeon pose where you straighten the back knee. It's a little more intense, or for me, it's a lot more intense. This is the level of stretch my hips can take here. One more breath. We'll come up onto the hands. Here's the quad stretch for that leg furthest away. Reach back with the hand to find the foot or the ankle. Might be enough already. That heel's coming towards the butt as opposed to up here. Maybe lower to the forearm. Option to slide that thigh back a little bit. Taking a few breaths here in that quad stretch. You're releasing that foot. And make your way onto hands and knees. I'm going to use my folded blanket here to pad my knees. And tabletop pose, we start with the knees under the hips, the wrists under the shoulders. Options for hand placement could be loose fist or being on your forearms instead of the hands to take that pressure completely off. Cat and cow motions of the spine. So we're just continuing with these fluid type movements. Exhale to round through the back, tuck the chin and tailbone, inhale, back arches downward, chest forward, tailbone up. Exhale, round the back, pushing the floor away so you feel the shoulder blades move apart. And then inhale as you arch the back downward, chest forward, the shoulder blades move towards each other. Forward and back here a few more times. You could keep it right here in this centered cat-cow, meaning we're not shifting in any direction. Or exaggerate these movements. Remember, we're just pausing to see if that would feel good, or maybe experiment. We round the back and shift the hips towards the heels, almost a child's pose. And then here's a bigger back bend. You can watch and decide if you'd like to do it. I'm going to shift forward, lower the hips, open the chest, and just letting my feet come up in this striking cobra pose. Exhale, pull the low belly in, shift the hips back, almost to that child's pose. Inhale, shift forward, lower hips, open chest. Exhale, bringing it back. I'm going to do a couple more. Maybe you've stayed in that centered cat and cow. Shifting it back. We'll bring hips over knees again, shoulders over the hands. I'm going to stretch one leg back, toes tucked under. Here's our toe rocking movement. Inhaling, shifting forward, toes bending. Exhale, press the heel back, calf stretch. Forward and back here a few times. And you can decide how this feels. This can be a very tight area, the calf. Or maybe it's the sole of the foot, or stiff in the big toes. So going slow, being compassionate to those areas that maybe don't want to move right now, and coaxing their movement as opposed to forcing it. You could stay with this or push the heel back. And next time, just lift the shin, pull that low belly towards the spine, and then inhale, lower, shift forward. So it would be shift back, lift that shin, belly button towards spine, and lower. Maybe one more. I've heard another yoga teacher call that one the cheetah. Not really sure why. Maybe it's running motion of cheetah, I don't know. Other leg back. Start with that toe rocking movement. That's shifting forward and back over the foot, over the toe. Could stay there, more gentle, might be what your body is calling for. Or that cheetah, push the heel back and kind of pull the shin, belly button towards spine. Inhale, lower, shift forward. Maybe a couple more of those. Or maybe you tried it and you're like, not for me. All right, lower both knees right here. And let's find a child's or a puppy pose. Child's pose is hips over heels, forehead resting. Puppy, hips over knees, forehead resting on the floor, stacked hands or yoga block. Options in child's pose would be to reach the arms forward, let the elbows bend, or hands could come back by your heels. And the reason to do puppy is maybe it feels better, number one. And number two, maybe you have osteoporosis in the spine or even osteopenia there. So the reason to not compress the vertebrae in the child's pose position. Herniated disc can also be compressed in child's pose. So this puppy pose keeps that compression out of the spine. Take a few more breaths. Remember, you could rest anywhere, anytime during this practice. So not in the middle of the grocery store aisle, but when you're at home on your mat or in a yoga studio. Staying here longer if you'd like or coming up, I'm setting us up for a down dog. So hands are a little forward, the shoulders, fingers spread. Claw the pads of the fingers in here to take pressure off your wrist and the shoulders, and lift the hips up and back. Prioritize that lengthening of the spine here rather than the straightening of the knees. So you might need to bend the knees to keep the back from rounding here, and maybe a few movements like pedaling the feet or rising up on the toes or releasing the heels or shaking the head or even lifting a leg. Settling into that down dog here. Looking forward, you're stepping the left foot between the hands. So you're kind of coming through that cheetah motion and stepping that foot forward. And if it doesn't get all the way there, lower that right knee, left hand helping it forward. You have the ankle underneath the knee. We're all going to lower the back knee and rise up here into this upright lunge position. So find your length in the spine. This is to create space between the vertebrae. So as we move, nothing is crunching, nothing is shearing the discs or the joints of the spine. Tailbone lengthens towards the earth and the top of the head reaches up towards the sky. So using our core and spinal muscles to decompress the spine here. We're going to take the sweater off. That's the movement. So lower body staying here in the lunge. We're going to lean forward, cross the arms in front of the knee. Inhale, lift, and open up. I'm going to turn so you can see me from the front. We're going to do 3 more. So exhale, lean forward, cross the arms. Inhale, lift, and open. Maybe look up. Exhale, cross, inhale, lift. 1 more. And let's pause in that open position. So palms, inner elbows face up. See if you can relax the muscles between neck and shoulder. So shoulder blades kind of slide down. Maybe that breastbone up. Gaze up just like a foot higher on the wall. Take a breath. And exhale, bring both hands down to the floor around the front foot, turning back so you can see the side view. Now I'm going to use my block under my right hand just to create a little bit more space, but you don't have to. Flat palm, loose fist. Left hand here to the knee. Option to keep the back knee down or lift it up. I'm going to make some shoulder rolling motions with this left shoulder and shoulder blade. So drop the shoulder towards the knee and inhale, shrug it towards the shoulder. Exhale, roll it back and down. And that back and down, twist the chest, the gaze to the left. Drop the shoulder towards the knee. Inhale, shrug it. Exhale, roll it back and down. 2 more. And this sort of back and down, or that drop and roll it back and down, getting that shoulder blade moving on the back ribs. So that area is no longer static, but we're getting movement and blood flow. We'll bring both hands down around this front foot, and we're stepping this back into a plank. Lower both knees. Keep the core like plank and lower all the way down to the ground. Once you're down, we're coming into this twisting cobra. I'm going to bring my hands out to the sides at shoulder level, elbows bent, pointing up towards the ceiling. I'm on tented fingers, so I'm not making this into a push-up. Sometimes it feels better to me to bring my feet out a little wider here for this one, so you could practice experiment with that. Inhale, lift the head and the chest, the neck long. And as you lower, you're going to lower one shoulder and look away from it on the exhale. Inhale, lift, head, chest through center, very little pushing with the hands. Exhale, lower the other shoulder and look away. Inhale through center, spine long. Exhale, twist it. Inhale, lift, lengthen through center. Exhale, twist. Come back through center 1 more time on the inhale. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Press yourself up to hands and knees. Maybe the hips come towards the heels. Tuck the toes. Find that down dog. Take a few breaths here. Any movements that feel good. Pedaling the feet, shake the head, wag the tail. Swivel the heels side to side. And eventually find that stillness in your down dog. Looking forward, it's going to be right foot between the hands, helping it get there. Lower that back knee, lifting the torso into that upright position. Find that length again, tailbone towards the earth, top of the head towards the sky. We're taking our second sweater off, so exhale, lean forward, cross the arms. Inhale, lift and open up. 3 more. Next time we open, we're going to pause. Right, palms, inner elbows up, shoulder blades sliding down the back. Maybe that chest up, gaze up just a little higher, not to the ceiling, not a hyperextension. Just so you feel that space between the collarbones and the jaw. And we exhale. We're going to release the hands down around the front foot. You might place a block under the left hand or on a loose fist just to create a little bit more space. Back knee could be stay down here, or you could lift it up. It's just a variation. It's not a progression necessarily. Right hand to the knee. Here's that shoulder roll. So we drop the shoulder down. Inhale, shrug it to the ear. Exhale, roll it back and down. Twist to the right with the back and down. Shoulder down. Inhale, shrug. Exhale, roll it back and down. Couple more here, right? So similar to sometimes if you do sort of backward shoulder rolls to loosen up the shoulders, the neck, that upper back. All right, release that right hand down to the floor, or maybe that yoga block is right there to assist. We're stepping the back foot to the front foot, finding a forward fold. And listen for options depending on what's going on with your spine or the hamstrings. That ragdoll version is a bend in the knees, upper body draped over lower body, top of the head is hanging down like, you're just full of stuffing and not spine, bones, vertebrae. Or if you have osteoporosis, herniated disc, really tight hamstrings, this is your version. Feet wide, butt back, forearms on the thighs. So this starts to open the hamstrings, but not too intensely. And there's no strain or little strain on the back because the spine is long as opposed to rounded. Swaying a little forward back or side to side. If you're in the ragdoll version, you have a few more options for to kind of release a little bit. One would be holding elbows. Another would be sort of that occipital release, taking your hands, interlacing fingers at the base of the skull, letting the weight of the arms give you a little bit more pull. You decide if that feels good. Sometimes that feels great to me. Sometimes it feels like too much. We're going to shift our weight back in through center, bend the knees and strong legs. Inhale, rise up. Maybe take the couple of backward shoulder rolls here at the top. I'm going to move that blanket out of the way. Moving through some standing poses here. Similar kind of add-ons of movement just to keep that blood flow, the lubricating fluid circulating around here so that we feel a little more open and loose by the end of this hour. Starting at the front of the mat, we're going to take a big step back with the left foot. This is a warrior two, so we're pivoting that back heel down. So my left toes are pointing out towards the long edge of the mat. My hips are angled out, not completely squared, but a little angled out here. Towards that left side, that right knee bent over ankle, forward or behind it a little bit. Find that length again in the spine. It's the tailbone down, the top of the head up. So a traditional warrior two, we're stretching our arms forward and back, shoulders relaxed. You could stay right here. You don't have to add on the movements. Or this is a little cat-cow movement of the upper body. So we would inhale, lift the chest, bring the gaze up, arms back just a little bit more. And then on the exhale, bring your arms forward. Now I'm going to bring the backs of my hands together and drop the chin. And inhale again, open back up, chest up, gaze up a little. Exhale, round the upper back, drop the chin, backs of hands together. Inhale, opening back up. One more. Pause in that open position. Bring this back hand to the hip. And option here is to bring the front hand to the thigh or the forearm to the thigh. We're coming into an extended side angle, but if the shoulder on this top side doesn't feel great, you can keep the hand on the hip or reach this arm up and over. Palm faces the floor, the thumb is pointing back towards the wall behind you. You could pause. I'm going to add a little rib cage rotation. So exhale, rotate ribs and gaze towards the floor. Maybe reach longer through that left arm. And then on your inhale, rotate ribs and gaze up towards the ceiling. And maybe you do that little elbow pull. So we exhale, rotate ribs and gaze down. Maybe lengthen out through that left arm. Inhale, open up, pulling the elbow back. I'm going to do a couple more. This time, pull the elbow and lift you back up into that warrior two. And step the back foot to the front foot. Shake out your legs, roll the shoulders. Stay at the front of your mat. I'm going to change, which is the front of my mat, so my back doesn't end up to you. This time it's the big step back with the right foot. Pivot that heel down for that warrior two. Front heel lining up with the arch of the back foot. Front knee bent, tailbone down, top of the head up. Arms reaching forward and back. You could stay here and keep the gaze over that front hand, a more traditional stationary warrior two. Or this upper body movement. We inhale, lift the chest, gaze up. Exhale, bring the arms forward, backs of hands together, drop the chin. Inhale, opening up. Exhale. 3 more. Inhale, lifting the head, long spine, back hand to the hip, front hand or forearm to that front thigh. And that right hand could stay on the hip here, and you could kind of do this movement without the shoulder positioning, or reach that arm up and over. Palm is down, thumb pointing back. Stay here, extended side angle, or this ribbed cage rotation. We exhale, rotate ribs and gaze towards the floor. And maybe you lengthen out, reach through the right arm. And then inhale, open up. You could pull that elbow back. So similar to that seated movement we did. Exhale, rotate ribs and gaze down. Reach out. Inhale, open, pull back. 2 more. As you pull the elbow back this time, let it lift you to that warrior two. Step it forward. Shake out those legs. All right, we're going to move into some balance work here. So keep in mind that your squishier the surface is, the more challenging it can make it for you to balance. And the reason for that is we get delayed feedback as to where the pressure is on our foot when we have more cushioning. But that can add challenge. So if you'd like more challenge, the squishier surface is better. You could even have a folded blanket under your foot to add more challenge. More solid surface can make it easier to balance. Hand on the wall can make it safer, or even just give you a little bit more confidence that you can maintain the balance, which sometimes it's a head game. And we're going to do balance on the 1 foot here. So bring that foot forward, spread the toes, place them down in that spread out position. The other foot's going to come behind you and toes down. And the leg that's back, bring that hand to the hip. Find that length again in the spine, tailbone down, top of the head up. That off arm could come up. Maybe this is a hand on the wall. Stay here with the back toes down, or lift the back toes up. So you could stay like this, knowing you could always put those back toes down. Or you could add a little hamstring curl reach back. So this lifted leg, you're going to bend the knee, reach back with that top hand. Maybe it finds the heel or just close to it. And then inhale, reach it back long. So we exhale, bend that knee, reach back, find the heel. Inhale, reach it up. 2 more. So we're getting a little hamstring curl in there. And if you feel that on the back of your thigh, there's no resistance, there's no weight attached or resistance band. The resistance is your quads and your hip flexors here. All right, let it go. Shake it out. Standing leg, lifted leg, both working here. And we're going to do the other side. So if you need that wall, you'll be balancing on the leg closest to it. Spread those toes, shift your weight to that foot, other foot back, toes down. The back leg, that hand comes to the hip, other hand comes up, or it's there at the wall, or knowing the wall is there. Focus gaze on the non-moving spot. Lengthen the spine. That visual focus helping with balance, and you know that in the boat, right? Being able to know where vertical is and have that reference point. You could stay here or lift the back leg. You could stay with this or exhale, bend that knee, reach back, foot to hand, inhale, reach it out long. I'm going to do 3 more. So just getting a little hamstring strength. I know it's not a lot, it's just 4 reps here, but activating that hamstring just to bring some balance back into the body. Your quads are very strong from rowing. So it's smart to strengthen the hamstring to balance out the knees and the hips. Foot down, arm down, shake it out. All right, come on up or back onto the mat if you have left that spot. And bring your feet about yoga mat distance apart. Toes are turned out a little bit. We're coming down into a squat. I'm going to give you an option to go part way down. So depending on how your knees, your back, your sacroiliac joint is, you may stay at part way down, or you may go into the deeper yogic squat. So the part way down is butt back, forearms on the thighs. So this is similar to that option of the alternative to that ragdoll forward fold. You could lower your hips and go a little deeper. You could even kind of push into one form into the thigh and get a little twist. If it feels okay to the knees, the hips, the back, you could lower the hips down here in between the ankles. This can be really challenging for many different joints. Sometimes it's helpful to put 1 or 2 blocks under the sitting bones. You can kind of rest into that position. Press the elbows into the knees, palms into each other, and lengthen the spine up towards the ceiling. Make sure you haven't lost your breath. One more inhale. And I'm gonna, let's do, I'll bring the hands towards the floor, straighten the knees, and then lower both knees down here. And I'm coming into seated position with the legs forward. So this is a version of it's usually like a reverse plank, but we're gonna keep our hips down and focus more on this opening of the chest. So we're leaning back on the hands, and this wrist pressure may not feel good. You can do this on your forearms here and get a little lift this way. It's a little bit more stretch on the shoulders, so just be mindful of that if you choose that option. Hands could be in whichever direction feels comfortable, pointing towards your buttocks or out to the side, or even pointing away. So you could experiment with that, see which feels better to you or if it feels different at all. So we're pressing into the hands and lift the breastbone, bring the gaze up. And then on the exhale, let the chest cave in and drop the chin. I'm going to do a few more like this. So we inhale, lift the chest, bring the gaze up, and then exhale, release it. A few more, and you'll notice a theme here, opening the chest, retracting, letting it cave in. And this is that mid and upper back movement. This is the shoulder blades moving together, moving apart. This is strength in that area between the shoulder blades. And then we'll release here, pause after the next one, maybe shake out the wrist here a little bit, roll the shoulders. So we've been working those muscles between those shoulder blades quite a bit in the practice, not super, a lot of resistance, but engaging them. And they are definitely worked quite a bit when you're in the boat. And so we're going to give them a little relaxation position. So this is where you're going to need, we're on our bellies. You're going to need 2 blocks or 2 rolled up blankets or 2 folded up pillows. They're going to go underneath the fronts of your shoulders, snuggled in close to the rib cage. And the job of these props is to push the shoulder blades closer to the spine. You could bring your arms out to the sides or down by your sides. You could decide what feels better. I do not mind the blocks under my shoulders, but for some people, that's a little like it's not squishy enough, it's not cushiony enough, so you may need to change that. You can rest the head straight down or turn to rest on the cheek, or you could slide a folded blanket underneath the front of the head here. So the job of the props is to push the shoulder blades towards the spine. If you're broad through the shoulders or if you have a lot of movement there, sometimes coming up on that taller side or roll the blanket up a little bit with a bigger diameter. It's worth getting comfortable here because we're going to be here for a little over a minute. And the goal of this pose is to release tension. So if you're holding because you're uncomfortable, you're kind of missing out on the purpose. The shoulder blades passively push towards the spine. So these muscles that run between the shoulder blades and spine get to rest. So they're neither stretched nor are they engaged or contracting. And this position actually makes it mechanically hard for them to tense up. And so instead of feeling the muscle contraction or feeling the stretch, you're either feeling nothing between the shoulder blades, or maybe you feel a vague warmth there. That's what I'm feeling, and that just means the relaxed position of the muscles is actually allowing more blood flow. There's a profusion of blood, oxygenated blood going to that area, dropping off oxygen, other nutrients, taking away byproducts of overwork or use, lactic acid, inflammatory byproducts. So this is my go-to position when I feel that achy, burny sensation in my upper back. You could stay longer, maybe it's feeling great, or take those props out from underneath you here. Similar idea, different body part. We're coming into this frog leg position. So I'm going to bring my left knee, bent knee out to the side in this frog leg position. I'm going to rest my head, my arms, wherever it feels the most comfortable. So stacked hands, forehead on them for neutral spine or resting on your cheek. Again, the idea is to relax muscles. So if you need to adjust, make your adjustment, knee higher, lower, foot in or out. Can make a difference here. Maybe sliding a blanket underneath that inner knee. Now we're relaxing muscles here on the back of the hip, that glute maximus, piriformis, other rotators here on the back of the hip, getting a chance to rest, release. We stretch them earlier in that pigeon pose or that pinwheel modified pigeon. You might choose to stay right here. This could feel really good. I'm going to just kind of do a couple more moves to change this up a little bit. So I'm going to come up onto my forearms. So here's this frog leg sphinx pose. So my elbows under shoulders, forearms parallel to each other. Pull that chest forward with the neck long. And then look over your left shoulder. So you're looking towards that frog leg and be gentle here because you're going to feel some stretch through the right abs. And if I've done this with you before, you've probably heard me say you do not want to pull an abdominal muscle. It hurts with every movement, every breath, every sneeze, every cough. So gentle stretching here. I'm going to turn this into a spinal twist. So I'm going to lift my left elbow up. I'm going to take it slow here. So looking left elbow up, right arm threads underneath, and you come to rest on the right shoulder. Now you might use a blanket or put a block underneath the head here. And you could pause. We're already in a little bit of a spinal twist. Or roll the back of that left shoulder towards the floor. The gaze up towards the ceiling. And that frog leg, that bent leg is going to slide a little bit. So it doesn't have to stay on the ground. That left arm could come out. Gaze up. You don't have to go that far over. I'm not getting the back of my left shoulder onto the floor here. But another option, slide a block under that knee. That actually helps me get my left shoulder on the floor, which feels a little more restful, easeful. Is that a word? Take a couple more breaths. The belly is twisted, so you may have to like kind of consciously take that lengthened breath here. So I'm going to roll back onto my belly. You could straighten that leg out so you're coming flat onto the belly here. And then here's the frog leg on the right side. So right inner knee coming out, resting on the floor, head, arms, wherever feels the most comfortable to you. Make any adjustment you need here. Pausing to see what you feel. The goal of this is to relax the muscles on the back of that right hip. If the inner thigh stretch is kind of intense, you can always roll away from it a little bit. Roll towards that left side, keeping that frog leg position. Slowing that breath down again allows the nervous system to relax a little bit, which tells the muscles to relax a little bit too. So maybe you could stay right here, lengthen breath, really just resting, relaxing. You don't have to add on. Or coming into this frog leg sphinx, so it's elbows under shoulders, forearms parallel to each other. So there's a back bend here, chest forward, neck long. Slight, small little head turn. Look over that right shoulder. You might see that frog leg. Feel that stretch to the left side abdominals. Keep it easy. Breathe. All right, so we're going to lift that right elbow. Slide the left arm underneath to come to rest on the left shoulder. Maybe slide a blanket or pillow or block underneath that head. You could stay here or roll the back of that right shoulder towards the floor. The right knee will come with you. The arm could come out. Maybe you slide some kind of prop underneath that inner knee. And that helps me get that back of that right shoulder to the floor. So this is a reclined twist that we often get into from our back, right? And the upper body stays relatively in the same spot and the lower body twists. And here, the lower body stayed in relatively same spot. We twisted through the upper body. So that's why it feels a little different, even though we're almost in the same place we get to from our back often at the end of the practice. I'm gonna pull that bent knee in and roll onto my back. I kind of rolled off my yoga mat. So just trying to make your way back on. So you're on your back here. Decide if there's something you'd like to do before Shavasana, before the relaxation. Knees to chest, a happy baby. Maybe there's a different hip stretch that you like to add in or an inversion. Thinking about how you'd like to set yourself up for Shavasana. We've been thinking about comfort and feeling good in the body. So, what would feel good to you here? Maybe it's putting socks on or covering up with a blanket or elevating the legs on a chair or legs up the wall. Maybe it's having that roll under the back of the neck. That's a pose that releases tension at the back of the neck, base of the skull, and helpful for tension headaches. I'm going to come into this arms overhead, kind of neck shoulder relaxation position. Wherever you can rest and relax. And it could just be flat on your back, legs out, right? So it doesn't have to be something specific or fancy. Eyes closed or open. We'll just take this sort of physiological sigh here on purpose. Normally we do it sort of spontaneously. We'll take an inhale through the nose, open the mouth, let out your sigh. We could do that again. Let the breath go and allow yourself to rest for the next few minutes. As you're ready, start to deepen the breath. You might add some gentle movements, turning the head, wiggling the fingers, the toes, the wrists, the ankles. If you'd like a big full body stretch, stretch the legs out, arms overhead. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, let it go. Bend the knees, roll to your side. Pausing for a moment here. Perhaps take this brief moment, appreciating your body, your breath, your health, your yoga practice. Be gentle, press up to a seated position. Thank you all for being here, sharing your practice, your energy, this time of day. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Let me know if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you for a great class.
Yes, thank you for another great class. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Laura.
Yes.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Hey, Trisha,
Bye-bye.
how are you?
Laura. Good.
Thank you, Laura. That was
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
You.
Hi, Leora.
Stay dry, everybody. Have a nice week.
You too, Gail.
Bye-bye. I think Karen appreciated today. I think it was,
The feel good parts
yeah.
or just all of it?
You have to ask her, but
Okay.
we had a workout yesterday, and yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for
This is
everything.
a good recovery one.
It was
Good.
for me. It was. You have to ask Karen. She's stronger than I am.